Hi, everyone. We are so glad you're here. People are coming in right now. So good afternoon. Welcome to our webinar. Keep your head up and your feet beneath you. We are delighted that you're here. People are showing up. We're going to give everybody about 30 seconds or so to join us. I can picture everybody coming into the room right now. Find your seat, get comfortable, grab your snack. And
6 feet away from each other, though.
6 feet away, absolutely. Don't sit too close to each other.
Right.
We will get started with our presentation just less than a minute away. We're really glad you're here. Okay, we're going to get started with our program. If we have a few latecomers come in, that is okay. They can sit in the back. I am delighted. I am Van Lutke Jeffrey, and I am part of the AGE-u-cate Training Institute team. So I am delighted to be with you all today and appreciate you coming into our program. We have a wonderful program planned for you, which you know, that's why you signed up and you have shown up. So I am going to get ready to turn this over. Our guest today is Bailie Hillman. Bailie has been in this field for many years. She's going to tell you a lot more about her. She has shown up with her alter ego, Mary Poppins. Mary Poppins has her carpet bag and everything she needs to help you and help all of us through this very interesting and trying time that we're all finding ourselves in. So without any further hesitation, I am turning this over to Bailie Hillman. Bailie, welcome, and thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Van. Hello, everybody. I'm so glad you are able to join us this afternoon. Like she said, my name is Bailie Hillman. I want to start and tell you about myself for just a minute. I am an occupational therapist by background. I have a master's degree in OT. I've had that for almost 10 years now. It's surprising. I also have my license as a nursing facility administrator. I am currently working at James L. West Center for Dementia Care in Fort Worth, Texas. We have a 100-bed nursing facility, and all of our residents have a diagnosis of dementia. I have been everything from an OT to a director of rehab. I've actually been an activity professional, an ED at a nursing home or at assisted living. So I've worn many hats over the years. And so today I hope that I can bring a lot of great insight from all of my experiences and help you guys get through COVID-19 if you're helping and taking care of individuals with dementia. So let's get started. I absolutely love this quote. In every job that must be done, there is an element of fun. You find the fun and snap, the job's a game. Wouldn't it be nice if our job could just snap and be a game right now? I know that today and the last few weeks have been incredibly trying for many of us. As the world is changing, we are all in this together. So I hope today that I help to lighten the mood a little bit. I don't know about you, but I have been on several webinars and conference calls and getting inundated with emails about COVID-19. And so today I just want to kind of lighten it up, but also give you a lot of great tips from my bag of tricks. And so let's get started. So this is the overview of what we're going to cover today. The first thing that we're going to talk about is COVID-19 and dementia. We're also going to talk about policies and rules. Everybody loves policies. And then we're going to talk about our new normal, dementia and how we can do engagement safely. And the last thing we'll discuss is you, the most important thing. I'm saving the best for last. And then I have a ton of resources that are going to be just kind of thrown in all over this presentation today. So I hope you guys enjoy. So dementia and COVID. Right now, there is not a lot of research, obviously, since this virus is brand new. There is not a lot of research on how it is going to impact individuals with dementia. So the question is a resident or an individual with dementia at higher risk of getting COVID-19 than others? And really, there's nothing out there to say that they are at higher risk. The risk that we know is that if an individual is 60 years old or older, they're at higher risk. Once they hit 80, they are at the highest risk of contracting COVID-19. Another thing with dementia and this pandemic is that our individuals who have dementia are not able to understand the word COVID-19 or the word pandemic, right? These are words that we've kind of created during this time, and pandemic's been around, but just not something that's been used in the past. And so it's hard for them to understand what's going on around them because they don't understand this terminology. And it's even harder for us to try to explain what's going on, and can sometimes cause a lot of confusion and agitation. The next few things that I have here, we're going to actually cover specifically going forward. So forgetting to wash their hands. They're also, individuals with dementia might touch their face. They don't know better than, to touch our face right now and possibly spreading the virus. Do not understand if you're doing, I know many of you in the activity world have been having families coming up to windows and visiting with their loved ones on the other side of the glass. And a lot of times with individuals with dementia, it could get frustrating for them or could upset them even more. So I'm going to give you some tricks on how to help with this and ways that you could modify this activity. They're also not staying in their rooms, right? I mean, they tell us to keep them in their rooms or not to do communal dining, but my goodness, when they're used to being out and roaming around and they don't know what COVID-19 is or why we're all wearing masks, it's really hard to keep them in their rooms. And so we've got some ideas here that I will share. And then also the feeling of fear. We'll cover that as well. So not following the rules. I don't know about you, but I have been seeing rules out everywhere. Okay, the emails coming through either from CMS, who is our regulatory services, or from the government telling us what we should and shouldn't do right now, or to stay home and don't get in your car, or how many people can go in the grocery store. I mean, there's so many new rules out there. So I do want to let everybody know before we go forward, I'm talking to many of you are healthcare professionals, but then I know some of you are family members as well, or you are individuals who work with family members. So during the entire presentation, I'm going to give you both sides of the story. So we're going to talk about what this looks like for healthcare professionals, and then I'll also give you some tips as family caregivers. So the first rule that we have is one of the most important ones, and that's to wash your hands. Right? So a trick I have here, and my team at James L. West, we have implemented this, is we are washing their hands before and after meals. We were already washing them before, but we've just kind of made our staff aware of washing our individuals' hands. So they're touching the wheels of their wheelchair, they're touching other surfaces that other people have. So if you got COVID-19 in your building, which I pray that you don't, but if you did, if residents have their hands washed and they're not all touching the same thing, you would hope that you'd be able to isolate it and not spread it throughout your entire community. So washing their hands, even though they're not out and about like you and I are, is still very, very important. If you're working with an individual at home, it is still very important, okay, washing your hands. And you might even set a timer, okay, or just know that every time you get back in the car after you've been out, if you have to go to the a doctor's visit, to wash your hands. Also touching their faces. So touching your face, we all have heard that, don't touch your eyes or your nose or your mouth, which is very hard to do. And most of you are probably touching your face right now, now that I have made you aware of that, and your nose is itching. And so it's difficult not to touch your face. We don't realize how much that we actually touch our face until we're told not to. So if you have to and you're out in public, it is okay to let your loved one wear a mask. Or if you have residents who are going out for dialysis, they can wear a mask. And then also with the masks, it can cause a lot of fear with our residents. So CMS is telling all of us right now in nursing homes to wear masks during and while we're providing care. With an individual who has dementia, this can be very frightening. And so it's not a bad idea to make it kind of like a game. Okay, let them wear a mask if they would like one. And when you're talking about mild stage dementia, a lot of residents might come to you and say, you know, hey, you're wearing a mask. Like, why am I not protected? Why are you not worried about me? Can I wear a mask as well? And it is more than okay to allow your residents to wear masks. Now, if your facility does not want you to, definitely go with what your facility's recommendations are, but this will definitely help to reduce some of that anxiety with residents as we're all walking around a mask to allow them to do the same. We have found in our building that the wearing the mask piece is not really causing any distress for our residents. They really haven't seen that as a threat or as something that's causing them anxiety. So if you have, I would love if you want to comment and tell us the experiences that you've had, and feel free to leave comments throughout this presentation, and then I'll be going back to them later, but we'd love to hear your experiences as well. Sneezing in an arm or a tissue. So our residents with dementia don't always sneeze in their arm or using a tissue. And we all know this guy, right, on the screen with that face of, and then you're like, no, cover your face, cover your face. I mean, it's one of those that you want to brace yourself and get out of the way. In this instance, it's really hard to get our residents, cover your mouth and cover your face. And so they're just coughing or sneezing out into the air. Again, the reason why we need to be protected and wearing face masks. But what you might do is offer your residents a hanky. Okay, I know with my grandpa, he always had a hanky. Okay, he had his little handkerchief in his pocket of his shirt, or he would carry it in his back pocket, and he'd get it out and clean off dirt off his hands and then wipe his mouth with it, right? You never knew where the hanky was gonna go, but it was used for everything. It was like magically clean. And so maybe offer them a hanky if they're used to having something available. If they're carrying a purse, you could have a Kleenex or something in their purse so that they would automatically grab it and protect themselves when they're sneezing. Now, they would have to have this automatic response already established for them to possibly do this, but you never know. You might try this with your residents who sneeze or spit or cough. Just provide them with something that they can sneeze into. The next rule that we're not following very well with dementia care is social distancing. All right, so our residents are not aware, okay, our loved ones are not aware of the need for the social distancing, and they're saying the 6-foot rule. Now, I preach this all the time whenever I'm educating with activity professionals or social workers in long-term care, and that is environment, environment, environment. And my team has heard me say that as well, my activity team. So the environment is so incredibly important, and we have got to own it, okay? Whether it's the sound, the smells, the noise level, okay, we have to own the environment. And the same thing with social distancing. If I have 2 chairs and they're set right next to each other, where do you think the residents with dementia are gonna sit? Right next to each other. So it's my responsibility as the healthcare professional to separate the chairs, the distance that I want, and then hopefully that the residents will then sit in the chairs that I have set out. Now, am I saying that they're not gonna push them together? No, okay, they could possibly be moving furniture around and push them together. It's an easy fix, just scoot them back out. So we're gonna do our best, right? Are we always gonna get it perfect? Is someone gonna accidentally sit by someone else? Absolutely. If you work in a memory care or a nursing home where you take care of residents with dementia, or even group homes, you're gonna have it to where sometimes your residents will be sitting close to each other. And we're doing the best we can. No communal dining. So this came out as a mandate from CMS. They're saying that we don't need to have residents out in the community and dining. I don't know about you, but when I used to work as the regional, I managed all of the behavior management. And I cannot tell you how many resident-to-resident altercations I had in dining rooms. They are so particular about where they sit. Okay, even residents with dementia, they have their spot, and by golly, you had better not to sit in that spot. I had residents throwing coffee on one another because they were in their spot. And so changing this for our residents could be very impactful for them. Okay, so if they don't understand why I have to eat in my room, why are you moving my chair? We can set the environment in the dining room just as we would in any other areas of our building with the 6-foot rule. Okay, change the seating around your table. But they might get upset, and so you would have to, just help them to get used to their new normal. So no communal dining. If you can get them to stay in their rooms, I'm going to go back to this real quick. If you can get them to stay in their rooms, or if you have residents who are more in the severe stage of dementia, it would be best to feed them in their rooms, okay, or to assist them with eating in the rooms, rather than bringing them out and exposing them to one another. Again, we're not worried about them getting anything new, but our staff possibly bringing it in, and then we don't want them to spread it around to each other. So keeping it contained the best that we can. All right, staying connected. Many of you, if you're a family member, you probably know this the best, but many of you are experiencing this in your communities where we are not allowed to have family members coming into our building at this time. There are no visitors, which has really put a strain on many of our loved ones and our families that come in to visit their loved ones. And if you're a family or a caregiver, I can not even imagine how hard this would be to not be able to see your mom or your dad. And the fear of them, not remembering you after this is all said and done. But there are some solutions that you can explore with the nursing home, or if you are in the healthcare industry, you can do video conferencing. So we have seen on social media, you've probably seen many videos of people talking to their loved ones and people asking about video conferencing. So this is a really good resource to have and to offer if you have a tablet or a computer. I would highly recommend that if you're an activity professional, not using your personal devices for HIPAA reasons. Just follow your company's policies. If you are going to start or have started video conferencing and you feel like, wow, this is not going well, I have a couple of resources for you. I have an assistant that I've been working with, and her and I have developed a letter that can go out to families explaining dementia and video conferencing and what that looks like, as well as a video on how to use technology with individuals who have dementia. So if you want to look those resources up, I know that Van and I talked earlier, and we will be sending the resources to you guys by email afterwards, so you can look for those, or if you don't find them, you can get on the website that's linked below and you can locate them there. Another thing is time limits. So as an activity director or activity professional, or if it's the social worker or whoever might be in charge of video conferencing, some things that we forget is that we still have to do our jobs, right? Inside the nursing home, many things have not changed. We're still providing care for loved ones. And so this can take up a lot of time. If you think about my building, I've got 100 residents, okay, give or take. And so if I had a family member for every resident wanting to talk for 15 to 30 minutes, it would take me days, right? Days to get all of the video conferences complete if I had limited resources. And so we have to be aware of what resources that we have, and then what your limitations are. Okay, so set some boundaries. It's okay as the activity professional to say, I can only do this an hour a day, or I can do this 2 hours a day. And then have your families calling in and setting up times. And that letter that I have will help you to communicate that. I follow a lot of you on social media. I'm part of a lot of really large activity professional groups, as well as some caregiver support groups that have thousands of people. And that's my fun in the evenings, is to sit and look at all of the comments and figure out needs and frustrations that you all have. And I've seen that, that's one of them, is that you're just inundated with video conferences with families. So set some limits. It's okay to do that. As a family member, or if you're a professional in the nursing home and helping someone video conference, it's really important to help our families understand just to say what needs to be said. Okay, don't say too much. I've asked our families, please, do not talk about COVID-19. We're trying our best to protect them from this, and we're trying to keep everything as normal as possible. And so some phrases that you can do, let's say that, your mom says, honey, I haven't seen you in a while. You're not coming up here to see me. You could then say, I know, Mom, I really need to get up there, don't I? So what did you do for activities today? And then redirect. Okay, so it's okay to, say, I know, I really need to get up there. It's okay to acknowledge their question, but then you want to try to redirect. as much as possible, and keep the conversations positive. The more positive conversations we can have, the better. So using clinical judgment, this is really on the healthcare professional side. So if we have a resident who is video conferencing their loved one, so if you have a resident who's in and talking to their family member and they're just crying and crying, I want to tell you, first of all, it's okay for them to cry, right? I have went through a roller coaster of emotions during this time. I mean, for all of us, with the stress and the unknowns, and it's a time when it's okay to have these emotions. It's okay for our residents to cry some. It's not okay if a resident afterward is anxious and upset and distressed. Okay, if it's causing them more harm than it is good, then video conferencing directly with their loved one might not be the best option. All right, so there's other options that we can try. However, I do not want you to assume that it's not going to work. Okay, I've seen on social media a lot of people saying we're not even doing it with our memory care residents because they don't understand. That's not fair either, right? We don't want to assume that our residents can't or won't do video conferencing and can't understand technology until we actually try it. So I encourage you to try. Use your clinical judgment, okay, help the resident work through it, and then decide, did that work or did it not work? Can we do this again? How frequently do we need to do it? Do we need to do it once a day? Do we need to do it 3 times a week? So make those clinical judgments for each resident, okay, not everybody together because we're all so different. You can also offer, let's say that it just absolutely does not work, right? I mean, you've tried video conferencing and it's not working. You're having aggressive behaviors afterward. They're looking for their loved one in other rooms. They're banging on the doors. They just don't get it. And it's not helpful for them. You could offer for your families, or if you're a family member, you could ask if you could just see them, right? A lot of times it's just, I just want to see them, right? I just want to see that they're okay. I want to see that they're happy. I want to see that, everything is still normal inside the nursing home, even though I can't get in to see them. So it's just letting them watch, and that's okay. You can have your video conference set up and the resident engaging in an activity or talking to someone, and they can just see them. That can help to relieve a lot of stress that our caregivers and our family members right now are experiencing. The other thing we've seen a lot of on social media is nursing homes that are all one level, with a resident on the inside and families on the outside, and their hands up against the glass and sharing a moment together. And it's very sweet. It's a wonderful thing to do. But again, it can cause a lot of stress with residents who have dementia, okay, or any of us, right? If you're seeing your loved one, I mean, if my baby was on the outside of the window and I couldn't get to him and that's all I could see of him, that would cause me distress. And so think about how our residents may feel. It's good to, put yourself in their shoes for a little bit. And so if this does not work, I would just encourage you to tell the families, hey, we can video conference and you can watch them, but as far as coming to the windows, it's really causing them a lot of distress. They don't understand why they can't touch you or why they can't come out to you. So this is fun. Did you know that emotions are contagious? Yes, so emotions are very contagious. You probably assumed this, seeing that, some days you're in a great mood and, wake up happy, and your spouse wakes up in a really grouchy mood. Usually it's me that wakes up in a grouchy mood, and then all of a sudden you're both grouchy. And so, yes, emotions are contagious. The University of California actually studied this. They used a scale called the Personal Distress Subscale, and they have figured out that if somebody is tense, like they give an example of being in a tense emotional situation, scares him or her, and rightfully so. It's something that we all experience. If you're in a situation where there's a lot of confusion going on, it makes you anxious. The ability to influence the emotions and behaviors of others is real, okay? You really can. And whether you think your residents understand or not, they are feeling how you are feeling. And so it is really important during this time for us to be aware of our own emotions, okay? Not just for our residents, but for our coworkers, okay? We talk about this on our morning meeting is, trying to stay calm as a leadership team in order to better lead our team, right? The people who are actually in the midst of taking care of our residents. And I have to say it's very hard. Okay, the first few weeks were very, very stressful. I have a fantastic CEO and DON. I'm pretty sure that they're on here now. A lot of support. All of my team is fantastic. And so we're in this together. But we can directly or indirectly affect other people's emotions. And we are all going through this. The entire world is going through this. Okay, we're all having, crazy emotions at times, and it's fluctuating. So I would encourage you to be very aware of your emotions, because you're going to affect your residents, especially your residents with dementia, because they're not understanding language any longer, but they still really understand your emotions and how you're making them feel. So be aware of that. All right, so we're going to change gears for a minute. Now we're going to talk about following the rules. Okay, and the rules and the policies that are going into place. You must follow your policies. All right, I am going to give you a lot of information today. I'm going to give you a lot of tips and tricks that I hope you can take back and use in your building. But in the end, you have to do whatever your policies and procedures say. Okay, not what Mary Poppins said or what Bailie said. You have to follow your policies. Another thing is you have got to bring a solution, not just a problem. We say this a lot at James OS, right? Don't just come to me with a problem, but come to me with a solution. That is so incredibly important. My CEO and DON and I, the first week policies are coming out at us like crazy. I mean, you cannot even imagine the emails, or some of you probably can imagine the emails and the webinars and changes, and, one regulatory service saying one thing and another saying something else, and trying to come up with something for our team and guide them and lead them in the direction they should go. It's stressful, right? And then on top of it, okay, as I'm looking through Facebook at night, I'm seeing activity professionals say, oh my gosh, my administrator this, or oh my goodness, my administrator that. And, it's being an administrator, okay, also have been an activity professional. I see both sides. I see that the inconsistency in the leadership can be very frustrating to a team member. But then also as an administrator, it's a very stressful time for us as well. And our guiding forces are not agreeing or giving different information or changing by the minute. And so we've got to come up with solutions. Don't just bring problems, okay? Be positive. You possibly have some current restrictions. Okay, you might in your building be doing one-on-ones. You might still be allowed to do small groups, no larger than 10. Okay, you might be just working on social distancing. Okay, if you have a memory care unit and you can't do if you can't keep them in their room. You possibly and most likely have no outside visitors. I would hope that you would have no outside visitors or family. All right, we're all dealing with these. These are restrictions that we're all dealing with. However, okay, on social media, some buildings are saying, oh no, we're just doing one-on-ones, or we're just doing small groups. It's all about your building, okay, and how your administrator and your DON and your corporate offices want to run your building, and you have to respect that. If there wasn't trust with you and your team before, this is going to be a really hard task for you. And so I would encourage you as the activity professional or social worker or whatever your role is in your team is to just be positive, okay? Be positive and be flexible. And we'll talk about that a little bit more here shortly. Other challenges that we have is a lack of supplies and lack of PPE. Okay, we don't have masks and gloves and hand sanitizer and Clorox wipes and things just readily available. We have a fantastic development coordinator at our building, and she has gotten so many donations for us, which we're super blessed. And I hope that you guys are as well, but this is a challenge that we're all facing. Okay, so as the activity director, I charge you with getting creative. Okay, I hope you already make masks. Okay, we have homemade masks in our building. I've seen on social media, you can take laminating paper and make face shields if you need. Our regulatory guy told me to wear goggles to work if we got desperate. So yeah, just get creative right now. There are definitely problems, and there's rules coming out that are hard to follow, but we've got to follow the rules, okay? And just get creative and be flexible and supportive of one another. As a family member, I probably had just showed you all the kinds of stresses that we're dealing with inside the nursing home, but you guys have the same type concerns and stresses. And so a cover is not the book. So open it up and take a look. It is okay to ask questions. for families as well as for healthcare professionals. So as I go through this list, I want you as a healthcare professional to think, how am I going to answer these questions when my family members call up and ask me? And so the first thing is there's two sides to this story, right? You have a loved one in a nursing home. On social media, you have seen some people recommending that you go get your loved one and take them home, right? On the other side, other people are saying, no, leave them in the nursing home. All right, so I'm going to give you both sides of the story and things to consider. The first side is, should I take my loved one out of the nursing home? All right, and here's some questions for you to ask. What is going to be the impact of the move on everybody in your family? Okay, so if you decide to bring mom home and you live there with your husband and your children, and you bring her into your home, how is it going to impact your husband and your children? What if your husband, if he's still out working, brings home COVID-19 and he gets sick and now you're all exposed to COVID-19 and now you're ill and not able to take care of your mom? Okay, so these are all circumstances that could possibly happen, not saying that they will, but it's things to think about, all right? How well can your household control infection risks? All right, we're in the nursing home, we're good at this, or I hope we're good at this, right? So we deal with infection control often with large groups of people living in a nursing home. How are you able to control infection risks? So are you able to get cleaning supplies? I've been several times to the grocery store and not able to find even the things to clean my own home with, right? Much less, if you're not able to get out or go shopping, it's difficult to find these items. How accessible is your home? All right. We all think that our bathroom doors are really wide until we get in there with a walker and it's like, whoa, I can't even fit in with a walker, right? And then your mom can't sidestep and needs therapy and now therapy's not coming to the house. And there's so many questions that you could ask before deciding to bring your loved one home. Am I saying that you shouldn't bring them home? Absolutely not. All right. It is completely up to you, and everybody's situation is completely different. Okay. I'm hoping that you trusted the nursing home that you have your loved one in before all of COVID-19 so that you can trust them now even more. I hope they're communicating with you and having frequent calls or emails or communications out to you. So just be very calm in your decisions. Okay. Think it all through and ask the questions. So if you decide that, I'm going to have to trust the nursing home and I'm going to have to leave my loved one there, there are still questions that you could ask, and it's okay to ask these. So what is your quarantine policy? Okay, are the residents still doing group activities? Great questions. How well are you reducing infection risk? Okay, what are you doing to reduce infection risk? Are you screening all of your staff members and your outside personnel for COVID-19? What questions are you using? Are you taking their temperature? I mean, so many good questions, and they should be able to give you these answers. What education are you providing for your staff regarding COVID-19? It's one thing as a leadership team member seeing all of this stuff coming in, but if I'm not relaying it and educating my staff on this, then they might just be seeing what social media is putting out there. So are we educating our staff to ensure that we're doing the best that we can on infection control? What happens if my loved one has to go to the hospital or test positive for COVID-19? Okay, are you going to take them back if they're positive for COVID-19? If not, some nursing homes aren't equipped to take them back. So if they're not going to take them back, what then would you be able to do? So you always want to have a backup plan, all right, on what would I do at that point? So good questions, okay? Don't just assume and sit back. If my grandpa's actually passed away now, but if he was in a nursing home and he had dementia, I would be definitely asking all of these questions. I would want to know right now what would be going on. What would be going on in there? So it's happened before, okay? Winds in the east, mist coming in, like something is brewing and about to begin. Can't put my finger on what lies in store, but I fear what's to happen all happened before. We in healthcare are used to lockdowns. Okay, unfortunately, this is what happens. You put a big group of people together and somebody gets the flu, okay, it sometimes will spread and you have to lock down a unit. We are used to this. This may be a new thing for you, but for us, unfortunately, sometimes it's happened, okay, in the past. I've experienced it a few times in my career over the last 10 years. And so we're used to it. It's okay. We have it under control. And you can definitely trust us in the process. So we have a new normal. I mentioned that this morning at my meeting and someone said, oh my goodness, I hope not. Right? It is. It's our new normal. And I love this quote. We're on the brink of adventure, children. Don't spoil it with questions. So this is an adventure, and it is okay to ask questions, but it's an adventure. And so we have to give grace to one another. Okay. We have to be flexible. Okay. We have to stay positive and get creative. This is our normal for a while. All right. It's going to be okay. We're going to get through this together. And I hope that, today, the tips and tricks that I'm giving you, that it will kind of help to bring some calmness to this storm. To safely engage, so engagement and activities, I believe, and man, I am an advocate for activities, even not with COVID-19, but I am really an advocate for activities right now. I think that life engagement has got to continue. And so I am a huge supporter. I have worked with my assistant over the last couple of weeks on trying to get resources out and available to activity professionals, because, sometimes you have one activity director in a building of, several hundred residents. And we're blessed at James OS to have multiple activity professionals, but some of you are really struggling. And I see that and I hear that, and I want to help and respond. But I want to ask a question. So since COVID-19 has happened, and since we've had all of these new rules put into place, how has your life changed? Right? How has your life changed? So think about that. If it's with me, I'm still working. Okay. If I was not working out in the public, but my company maybe sent me home to work from home, I'd still be working, right? I just have a home office at that point. And I actually am blessed right now to, be working at home some and get to be here with my baby and my husband. And so what other things may have changed? Maybe you're not going to the grocery store any longer, but you're ordering food online. Okay. You're still interacting and talking with your families, right? You're still engaging with them. Over Easter, I hope that you reached out and told them Happy Easter. We might not have been able to all come together and hunt Easter eggs and have a meal and go to church together, but we are still connected with one another. Going to church, right? My grandma called me up. She's 83, called me up on Sunday and said, all right, I'm headed to drive-in church. And it was actually on Marco Polo. She didn't call me. She did a Marco Polo video, 83, right? And so she's like, I'm headed to drive-in church. And I thought, wow, we are really adapting, but we're still going to church. All right. So I want to encourage you. I just named off several areas of wellness that we are continuing to do in our lives. You still, as the activity professional or healthcare professional or even family member, we still have an obligation to help our residents with dementia still live life like normal and meet their areas of wellness. The first 2 weeks, I just have to laugh at this, the first 2 weeks of COVID-19, I was getting online and looking up all different, trying to find resources on, what's all these activity professionals doing as we're locking everybody down, like taking people in their rooms and, not letting them out. And I kept seeing hallway bingo, hallway bingo, hallway bingo, hallway bingo. And then all these carts, coming up, like taco carts and ice cream carts, and fantastic ideas, right? So much fun. But this is our new normal, you guys. Like, this is our new normal. And so I would hate for us to continue to have to do hallway bingo for the next several months all the time. So that's not going to work long term. Okay, it's not going to work. So we have to get creative. I have a resource book, and this is a couple pictures from it. I just kind of screenshotted. This is a PDF file that you can find. I actually posted it already, or Casey posted it on April 7th. It's called the Free Resource Guide. It's got pages and pages of information. I actually put my husband to work and had him come up with YouTube channels. So it has hundreds of YouTube channels on there that you can get in and see different topics. If you want gardening or cars or sewing, it has tons of topics. And then channels that we have found that are more senior appropriate. So this guide is available for you. I want you to think and communicate infection control. All right. For nursing, it's very easy. Well, usually it's very easy. Okay. Nurses are just ingrained with infection control as part of their, routine. For me as a therapist, it's hard for me to sit in a restaurant and not think about somebody's gait, right? Or, oh man, I could adapt that and help them eat better. Or we just constantly, it's just ingrained in us. For activity professionals, we're ingrained with having fun. Okay, no matter what, like we're going to get creative and just have fun. And we don't all the time think about infection control. I am guilty as well. Some of my DONs over the years have been like, Bailie, what are you going to do to sanitize that? Okay, how are we going to clean that? How are you not spreading, infection with this activity? So put your infection control hat on. Okay, at this time, it would be a great opportunity to start breaking down some silos in your building and ask your DON, hey, can we sit down and look at my calendar and us talk about how I can help prevent infection, but yet still have fun and do our everyday activities? That's okay to do. So I'm going to give you some room isolation hall activity ideas. So if you do have the residents in their rooms, okay, and they need to be in the hallway, or if you don't have a lot of space in your living room and you need to set your chairs in the hallway for your residents with dementia to engage, so they're 6 feet apart, you can do that. I had to put bingo as number 1. And so car races is so fun, right? You can use dice. Okay, and we all have dice. You can use dice and clean them, and then everybody rolling them, and then going down the line, and the cars race just like you would do with horse races. You can have a fashion show. All right, everybody getting dressed up and stepping out of their door, and everybody looking down, and clapping and cheering. Great fun. Okay, instead of ball toss, doing kickball. Okay, we're not touching it. We're just kicking it with our feet. That's okay. A good exercise. Cooking demonstrations, doing a band, okay, everybody getting their instruments and playing and doing a band in the hallway. Or even name that tune. I am blessed to have a full-time music therapist in our building, and man, she has been so busy, right, and creative, and it's so much fun. Our residents are enjoying themselves, and bingo, quite honestly, just does not work for residents who have dementia. Some of them, let me take that back, some of them are very passionate about it, but others not so much. Never have I ever, spelling bees, whiteboard letter games. There's tons of activity ideas on here. I have shared this with my activity team, and they have just taken this and run with it and coming up with all kinds of great ideas just based off of this. So I'm hoping this sparks your ideas, and then you can just run with it. Activity apps as well are some resource that I have in here. So there's a huge list of apps that you can find if you have devices or if you're residents. And then if they have a smart TV, you could hook up all of your YouTube videos. So a great resource. So you guys look that up. Again, Van and I will send out an email, or AGE-u-cate will send out an email afterward, and y'all can find this resource there. So areas of wellness. And I'll show this in a minute. So areas of wellness. Areas of wellness, again, are incredibly important. I train and teach and preach this whenever I am consulting in buildings across the U.S. I have done a lot of consulting in multiple nursing homes with all different kinds of professionals, whether it's social workers or therapists or activity professionals. And the areas of wellness is an easy way for everyone to understand how to really engage a resident and meet them in their whole person. All right, I've seen so many free resources coming out right now from all different places where they give you word search and crosswords, and it's wonderful, right? That's wonderful, but it's only meeting one area of wellness. So if I'm handing out activity packets to all of my residents, which is great, I'm meeting one need, right? Or maybe two. Maybe I'm socializing as I'm handing them out, but I'm meeting one or two other areas of wellness. So how are we going to continue in our new normal to meet all of their areas of wellness? So I worked with Casey. Her and I came up with something we're going to call the Weekly Compass, and it actually launches next Monday. So if you want it early, I will send it out to everybody because it's ready. I'm so excited. And so it has activities based off of your areas of wellness. So like physical, there are exercises in the packet. Okay, so it's a 63-page packet this time. I think we went a little over beyond, but it's 63 pages. There are pictures of exercises with simple poses for both people who can stand and those who can sit. So it gives them activity, or it gives them physical engagement, okay, that they can do in their room. There's also a spiritual piece of it. So we have created a Bible study. It has a Bible study reading and then questions after. You could either use this and pass it out, like if you're in independent living or assisted living and they're able to read and write on their own, you could pass it out to them and they can do their Bible study. Or you could hold a group. Maybe you always had a pastor that came in to do your Sunday service, and all of a sudden now with COVID-19, nobody's allowed in your building and you're struggling to find Bible studies. You could use this as your weekly service or your Bible study. And then ask the questions after. They're all built in right there for you. And then social. Okay, so activity prompts like engaging and writing cards with one another, how to stay social and engage with one another with all the rules that we have in place. So there's a ton of activities in there for socializing. Intellectual, I feel like we've got that under control. From what I can tell on social media, you can get free resources for word search and crosswords everywhere. We have put some in there as far as the theme of the packet, but then we've also put some other intellectual activities like learning other languages. So there's pictures of like rain, and you can learn the word rain in French and in Spanish. And so it gives them some more intellectual activities. There's also emotional support that we want to provide, and we have a journal in there and a gratitude book. Again, all of these can be done individually if you're in an independent or assisted living, but then if you're in memory care or with dementia care, or even just your traditional nursing home, you could do this as a small group activity. You could do it as a one-on-one activity, or even as like a hallway activity. Or even if you have the system that the National Activity Association was talking about, where you can broadcast across your entire building. So great resource. I am so excited that we're going to be able to provide that for you. And then there's also reminiscing pictures that are large colored pictures. You can print out, cut out and then laminate them in color, and you can use them to help engage during one-on-ones. Another resource that you guys can have that is coming out is our flashback cards. So AGE-u-cate has these flashback cards. They are extremely handy whenever you are having conversations or doing one-on-ones. We use these with our residents, and they come up with the best stories. And so I picked this one. It's an old, like a ride at an amusement park. The reason that I picked this is because it feels like we're going around and around and around in circles, right? Especially with COVID-19. So that's a great one. So flashback, make sure you get on AGE-u-cate's website, and we'll probably send that out as well with the email, so you guys can have a link to how you can get those. There's a lot of great engagement activities for whenever you're in long-term care. Now, if you are a family member at home, you are more than welcome to use the same activity packet, right? It works independent living, assisted living, it works at home, it works for home care or a day program. I mean, it works for anyone. So you guys are more than welcome to that. But at home, it can get a little tricky, okay? And so we have a resource guide. It's called Dementia, COVID-19, and Quarantine, a survival guide. We're going to help you survive. It has a lot of great resources in it, but then specifically talking about meaningful engagements. And here's some ideas. It also gives you a new normal routine. So ideas on how to change up your normal routine that you had and staying quarantined, okay? Because a lot of us, I've had over the years residents who used to go to the bank, okay, at a certain time in the day. They would always show up at the bank. So now what do we do, right? We can't go to the bank. They're not open. So what can we do in place of that? And this resource is going to give you some ideas. So hopefully whenever we send that out, you guys will be able to utilize that. All right. I said I was going to save the best for last, and I have, and that's you, right? We cannot take care of other people unless we take care of ourselves. And so I tell myself this a lot, just to breathe, right? Just take a deep breath. Everyone is going through this. Okay, everybody. We all have different struggles and different challenges, and our residents are so different. Everybody's feeling different ways. Our family life, everybody's experiencing this, but we all have to just take a minute and just breathe. Luckily, there are apps for this. This picture on the screen is actually an app that you can use. You can either use it on a smartwatch or on your cell phone, and it actually helps you inhale and exhale at a certain speed to really calm you down. So I'd encourage you to find that if you have a hard time breathing and really finding some comfort and peace during this time. If you're a family member or a healthcare professional, I would tell you to find support. Okay, that really has been the thing that has gotten me through this. It's my team at work, fantastic support there, as well as my family at home. Again, support there, and not all of us are blessed to have that. And so I pray that you would reach out and that you would find support wherever you feel like, is needed. I mean, if it's family life, find support there. If you're a family caregiver and loved one, find out and reach out for a support group for families. I know our building is starting a family support group virtual family support groups. So there's a ton of resources out right now that are just at our fingertips. So find support for you. Understand COVID-19, all right? It's scary and there's a lot of information out there, but the more you're educated, the better it's going to be. So my encouragement to you is please educate yourself and understand it. And then wash your hands, okay? Don't touch your face. Wash your hands and don't touch your face. Those are two really great tips. So if you're out and about, I have hand sanitizer wipes in my car. So when I get right in my car, I wash my hands, wash the steering wheel, my cell phone, anything I think I've touched. I even leave my credit card out so I can clean it. So wash your hands and try to stay away from touching your face. Here is some resources that I have found very useful. A picture of the doctor is not very good, but he was a lifesaver to me. He came out with this video to his family and friends. He is a physician in New York, and he works in the pulmonary area of an ICU in a hospital. And he gave his family and friends tips about COVID-19 in the midst of the craziness in New York. And some of you might be in New York right now. You guys are in our prayers. I know we're sending a lot of Texas nurses there to help you guys, and it's scary, right? If you're in a hot spot where this is going on, it can definitely be scary. And he helps to kind of take away some of the fears, and just gives you some practical tips on how to stay healthy and hopefully prevent you guys from getting COVID-19. So watch his video. I put his picture there so that you can Google that, and that's the doctor. Another thing is how to wash your hands. All right, a lot of us think that you can just wash your hands and the water's just magically going to get the stuff off of them. That doesn't happen. Okay, we actually have to wash, like between your fingers and your thumbs, and on your fingernails and your fingertips and your palms. Like it's good to watch a video maybe of how to properly wash your hands, and for how long, right? Everybody is ingrained in your brain now, 20 seconds or happy birthday. So how to wash your hands, okay? Teach others how to wash their hands, because that's what's going to keep us from spreading this virus around. The Breathe app, okay, don't forget that. It's a good resource and link to really calm yourself. And then always your activity director resource, the website that is posted below, you can visit there. Our Facebook page and AGE-u-cate as well has resources that are coming out. And so make sure to, I know you guys are all linked in with them and found this webinar, and I'm so glad that you did and that you're here. Here is the reference to that study that I was talking about on emotional contagion. So if you want to look into more of that. Otherwise, with every job, when it's complete, there is a sense of bittersweet. So I hope that today you got some good tips and tricks from Mary Poppins, and I hope you guys end up getting all the resources on the email and being able to put them into place and utilizing them to better take care of you and your staff, your residents and their families. So thank y'all for having me.
Bailie, thank you so much. My goodness, I don't know if anybody else's notepads are full of comments and notes. I made some, and I'm not even a professional caregiver at this point. So thank you for all of your information and your enthusiasm about all of it. So thank you all for joining us. We are so glad you were here with us today. Watch your email. You will be getting all of these resources that Bailie talked about. We're going to give you links to where to go get those. We're going to give you links to how to get our flashback program, everything. So don't worry if you don't think you took good enough notes. We're going to get all of that out to you this afternoon or tomorrow. We will immediately start working on getting those out to you. I hope you are watching your emails and social media posts from AGE-u-cate. We are working to get these sorts of webinars out to you. I'm going to plug one for Wednesday at 1 o'clock. Hopefully you've seen it. It's our virtual road trip. And we had to make a slight change, but have we not all made changes lately? We've had to cancel trips and rework trips. So we are parking our road trip at home here in Texas this week, and I'm going to be your guest. I am going to show you some wonderful ways to get moving, whether it's for you yourself, for some of your residents. If you have children that you are working with at home that are at home with you, bring them to the screen at 1 o'clock. They'll have fun too. We can all get moving and to have fun, release some stress, exercise our brain. It's really important. So I'll look for you on Wednesday at 1 o'clock. Hope you'll join us for that. Thank you so much. We will be seeing all of you again very soon. Mary, have a great afternoon.
Yes, y'all as well. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.